Delivered fresh and on time. Avoid the restaurant hassle and treat your Valentine to a romantic home-cooked meal featuring bacon-wrapped filet, prime rib, or steak and lobster starting at just $30 a couple. Just one stop to make this Valentine's Day the sweetest one ever. Only at Hy-Vee.
Hey, it's Lebo here from my friends at CertaPro Painters. It may be chilly outside, but it's still a great time to update your home's interior. Many of us have spent a little more time at home these days. You may be sick and tired of staring at the same walls. CertaPro Painters can help you transform those walls with fresh new color. CertaPro has done an awesome job for me, both inside and outside of my home, and they can do the same for you. Worry-free from start to finish every time. You can schedule a free estimate at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. One of the things I love about them is each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. They paint with the care and attention to detail that only a local neighborhood business can offer. Whether you need to get something done for your home or business, log on to CertaPro.com and get started today. You can get a free estimate and check out all the great services CertaPro offers. Imagine what a colorful new coat of paint can do. They're ready to help transform your space and bring your vision of color to life. That's CertaPro.com for CertaPro Painters.
It's playoff time, and if we aren't at the stadium, the next best seat is in your home. Your big TV, great food, and a toasty, warm house. Make sure that your house is the ultimate playoff watch spot with a free furnace from Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric. That's right. This month, you can get a free furnace when you upgrade your heating and cooling system. Go to AnthonyPHCE.com and schedule your appointment today and let them know you want the playoff free furnace.
Hey KC, this is Jack Johnson, the host of The Shift on ESPN Kansas City. Are you a fan of live music, karaoke nights, Saturday and Sunday brunches, and the best place in town to watch our hometown teams? Then there's no better spot to go to than Iron Horse Bar and Grill, located on the corner of Null and 151st Street in Leawood. Every Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m., Iron Horse offers $3 wells, domestic bottles, drafts, and cans. Their food is made from scratch, having a great selection of apps such as brisket, nachos, beer-battered onion rings, and fried pickles. So if you're looking for great food and a terrific time, come on out to Iron Horse Bar and Grill off 151st and Null in Leawood.
You're listening to the most powerful sports station in the country. Sports Radio 810, WHB Kansas City, the power of sports.
America's largest all-sports radio station presents the #1 motorsports show for 2 decades, Track Talk, brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. Here are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Track Talk here on a Saturday morning. I'm Kirk Elliott. Scott Traylor not with us today, feeling under the weather, and we hope he's back on Monday for another edition of Mostly Motorsports, live on our Facebook page, Twitter, and YouTube, and also podcast, wherever podcasts can be found, Monday through Friday, Mostly Motorsports, and hope Scott is feeling better by then. And in the meantime, we're flying solo this morning, playing some highlights of this past week in Mostly Motorsports. Scott talked to a number of different people this week, one of which was Wayne Johnson, who for the last couple of years have been chasing the World of Outlaws and was even Rookie of the Year a couple of years ago. He's going to be doing some different things this year, still running some Outlaws races, but also just kind of picking and choosing and deciding as the weekends come where he's going to be racing, and we'll hear portions of that interview coming up a little bit later in the hour. And then yesterday, I was filling in for Scott and spoke with one of the great late model drivers in my lifetime, Joe Kosiski, and also a very successful promoter. Some big news coming out of I-80 Speedway this past week. It was announced at their banquet this past weekend that this is going to be the last year for the Kosiski family running I-80 Speedway. There's been a lot of rumors and a lot of talk about the property being sold. It's not sold yet, but Joe, on this interview that we'll play a portion of coming up here in just a little bit, talked about why that they are backing away from promotions at I-80 Speedway. He's going to be 65 this next year, and talked about needs to back down. His doctors told him need to kind of back down the stress level just a little bit, and it's to the time that in their lives that just want to kind of go out and enjoy life. So that's the plan, and why the Kosiskis have said that 2022 is the last year that they're going to be promoting the racetrack. And as he mentioned on the interview, the track is not sold yet, and there is a possibility somebody could come in and purchase the racetrack and keep it as a racetrack. So that possibility still exists. So we'll just have to see how that all plays out. So we'll hear a portion of that interview with Joe coming up here in just a little bit. And then hour 2, exclusively on Racing Boys, we'll bring Lee Spencer on. She's out in California for the Busch Light Clash, the most anticipated motorsports event in the last decade probably, is at the Coliseum coming up tomorrow night. And we haven't even seen cars on the racetrack yet. We've seen the racetrack and what it looks like, but we haven't seen cars on it yet. So we'll hear from Lee Spencer. She is out in California. I'm not even sure she's been to the Coliseum to even see the track yet, but certainly she'll be there today, as they'll have a practice session coming up at 12:30 Eastern Time, 11:30 Central, and we'll be able to watch cars on the track on FS2 coming up at that time. And we'll get Lee's take on everything out in California. Then we'll hear some portions of some other interviews from Mostly Motorsports this week on Hour 2 exclusively on Racing Boys. No racing last night. Everything that was scheduled on dirt down in Florida and Georgia got rained out. The All-Stars were supposed to open up the season last night at the Senoia, Georgia Raceway, but bad weather all weekend has forced a cancellation of the entire weekend of racing for the All-Stars. So now they'll look forward to the non-points event at Volusia Raceway Park coming up next Tuesday and Wednesday. So that's the first we'll see the 410 sprint cars in 2022 is next week down at Volusia Raceway Park. Then the Outlaws will be in action next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday down there. We've seen a lot of late model action down in Florida so far. Last night's event at the All-Tech Raceway for the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series was rained out, but they had action on Thursday night where Brandon Shepard led nearly every lap. I think there was only one lap he didn't lead on Thursday night, as he picked up his first win of the year on Thursday night. And Devin Moran coming from 15th to 2nd. After winning the second of 2 nights at Bubba Raceway Park on Tuesday night, Moran's been the hot late model driver so far down there. Brandon Overton has won a couple of races in the Lucas Oil Late Model Series, and also Tim McCready picked up a win earlier in the week as well. So tonight it's still on at the All-Tech Raceway at that big half-mile racetrack, and we'll see action, I think, beginning at about 4:30 Central Time on MAV TV Plus. So we'll look forward to all of that action as action is starting to heat up down in Florida, and hopefully the weather can cooperate this year. It's been cold down there. It did warm up some, but just keep the rain out of here so that we can get the racing in down in Florida here for the next several nights. East Bay Raceway Park, they've been running crate late models this week. Next week, they'll heat up with the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series. I think they're running about 6 straight nights at East Bay Raceway next week, and then the week after that, the sprint cars will be at East Bay with the All-Stars and the 360 King of Sprint Nationals coming up that following weekend. That's a couple of weekends from now. So lots of action going on, and the dirt late models have been putting on a pretty good show. I know Austin O'Neill is been with us watching all of that this week. So, Austin, how you doing this morning?
Pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
Another Saturday.
Another Saturday. So, yeah, it's kind of bummer we didn't see any racing last night, though. So
There was one race on. It was the USCS Sprint Cars at Hendry County Speedway in Florida.
Oh, it was. I missed that.
I just saw it on My Race Pass. They had, I think, 25, 26 cars. They had a pretty good show.
You got the results of that?
I do.
I missed. I looked on My Race Pass here this morning, but either I was looking at the wrong day or I just missed it.
Yeah, so Davey, I'm going to butcher this name, Franick, picked up the win from New Jersey. Danny Smith was 3rd, Terry Gray was 4th, Garrett Williamson was 6th, Mark Smith was 8th. Chris Martin was 11th. Some of your bigger name drivers. And I think they're going to be racing again down there tonight.
Garrett Williamson, he's kind of a rival of yours, isn't he?
Not really.
Not really?
He does come run some of the Warrior stuff with us, but he's more of a national tour guy.
So you're getting fired up for the sprint car. We haven't seen sprint cars yet.
No, we should see them Monday night at Volusia with, I think, the All-Stars.
Or Tuesday. I think it's
is it Tuesday
Monday
night?
is going to be modifieds only.
Okay.
And then Tuesday and Wednesday, the All-Stars. And then the World of Outlaws open up their season, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So what are you thinking about the All-Stars? Tyler Courtney won that championship last year. These are non-points races, by the way.
Oh, they are?
Yeah. They're not starting their points battle until later on. So they kind of utilize these Florida races as kind of open competition. Even though they're sanctioned all-star events, they're not points races.
Yeah, as you mentioned just a second ago with Tyler Courtney, winning the championship last year, that was kind of a shock to the wing world,
Yeah.
Non-wing guy kind of comes in there and, steals the show from us. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him go back-to-back this year.
Yeah.
I mean, he showed, he was capable of doing it last year, and he was really impressive. So he should definitely be a good threat for this year.
The big moment for Tyler Courtney was when he won the Kings Royal. They had 2 Kings Royals this year. Kyle Larson won one of them, and Tyler Courtney won the other.
Yeah, that was, I think Courtney won the day show, which was, it was this year's edition, right? And Larson won last year's.
Yeah, they had the numbers. The later number was the first one.
Okay.
And then the second number, I don't know why they did it that way, but the afternoon show was supposed to be last year's Kings Royal, or this year's Kings Royal, and then the one Kyle Larson won at night was supposed to be last year's Kings Royal.
Right.
They kind of reversed the numbers on that. So.
I also did see that the USAC Sprint Cars will have the Winter Dirt Games, I believe,
Next
number
weekend.
12. Yeah, next weekend down there. So that'll be with your sprint cars and your midgets.
That's Bubba Raceway Park. That's kind of a weird racetrack, is it not?
It's kind of like, I don't want to say Darlington, but it's a Darlington shape with a big dog leg on the backstretch.
Yeah. Kind of a D shape
kind
of track.
It's kind of like a 3-corner track. 1 and 2 is pretty sweeping where you have defined 1 and 2, and 3 and 4 is really just like a one turn, what you would just call turn 3. But it puts on some really good racing though.
They're going to be running both the USAC sprints and midgets down there next weekend, are they not?
Yep, they are.
So that's going to be fun to watch. The other big event we touched on here just a moment ago is the L.A. Coliseum. Everybody's looking forward to what's going to happen out there. We've not seen cars on the track. We've seen the racetrack. We've seen what that looks like. And we know it's going to be a very tight maneuvering quarter-mile racetrack with no really defined corners, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And Scott brought it up on his show this week that it's going to be like the east turn or the west turn. The track runs east and west if you look at a map. The Coliseum is, it runs east to west. So are they going to say, okay, they're coming around the west turn, they're coming around the east turn? I don't know how that's going to look like on television, but they're going to wad some cars up down there, it looks like to me. But we really don't know since we've not even seen cars on the racetrack. We're going to get a first look at that around 11:30 Central Time today. And then what they're going to do is they're going to qualify these cars tonight, single car qualifying. They'll come back tomorrow afternoon. There's 36 teams out there. 24 cars will start the A main tomorrow night. 23 will get in through the heat races and the last chance qualifiers. And then the next best points person from last year who didn't qualify through the normal heats and the last chance qualifiers will get in on a provisional. So 24 cars will start. They're going to have 4 heat races of 25 laps apiece. Top 4 finishers out of those heat races will advance to the main event. And then the rest of them will go into 2 50-lap last chance qualifiers. Top 3 out of those races will advance into the main event. And then 150 laps will be the main event on Sunday night. I think that starts about 5 o'clock our time on Sunday night. Todd, what do you think about it?
It's going to be a mess. This is I don't know. I can't imagine that many cars on that kind of a track. I don't know. From what the way
well, there's not going to be 36 cars.
No,
on. The 24 is going to be the most that's
but
on the
24 cars. How long?
But we've seen that before. I mean, you go to your local bull ring, quarter-mile racetrack. We've seen 24 cars on those kind of tracks before.
But this track has not been. There's no notes on this track. Correct?
No, nothing.
And so we don't even know what this asphalt's going to do. With these tires. I mean, this.
Well, the cars are new. We got brand new race cars.
You've got more variables going into this race than almost anything we've had in the last 10 years. I don't know. Other than racing on dirt with the trucks, this is a crapshoot, if you ask me. I mean,
well, it is. I mean, you look at the racetrack, and it's they're not straightaways or curved straightaways. To fit the infield of the L.A. Coliseum, so they're curved straightaways, but the turns are not, it's just like a hairpin turn on each end of the racetrack. And there's, 36 feet wide is the racetrack, but when you put the safer barriers in there, that tightens things up. And then there's a wall down on the inside of the racetrack.
With that wall, I think that's where you're going to see it. I don't know. I'm not a race car driver, but when I see a lot of these guys hugging this down here, and I think you're going to see in these, like you said, these turns aren't exactly, like you said, it's more Darlington type of looking weird hairpin type thing. But this is going to be this is a spectacle for TV because it'll be fun to watch for sure on TV. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of crashing and bashing, and that race really doesn't mean anything either, right? Correct? I mean, it doesn't count as far as
no points are being awarded.
Therefore, it's just kind of like, let's go out and have fun, right?
Well, I'm going to tell you this. I think it's going to be more exciting than when they ran the Clash at Daytona, because a lot of those races, when they ran them at Daytona, really weren't all that exciting. So if they put on a show, do some beating and banging, tippers get flared, people get upset, I'm okay with that.
I am too.
That's part of the show.
And I hope they leave the asphalt on there for a while and give some other other racing series, some chance to come in there and do it. You're going to have bikes that want to come in there and try some stuff. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people. I don't think they're just going to tear this.
Yeah, why would they have to take the asphalt? What else do they use that Coliseum for now?
It gets used for.
They don't play football there anymore.
No, it gets used for things like this. People rent it out or rent it or whatever. I mean, that's
Southern Cal. Do they don't play their games there anymore?
I don't think so. I know they have some motocross events sometimes through there because they jump through those dome-looking things. We're looking on the screen right now. I see them where they jump through there on motocross and stuff. So they have some those type events, but that's what we're looking at. It's this type of an event where you're just, let's build it and race some stuff for a while, and if something else comes along, we can tear it down. But I'd like to see it there for a while and maybe see a couple other series come in there and see what they can do on it.
Yeah, I mean, if there's no reason to pull the asphalt up, just leave it down. So I don't know.
It's very impressive looking when you're seeing it on TV. It looks like something.
It looks good on TV.
It sure looks like it's been there a long time.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Not like old, but I mean an established track. It doesn't look like something they threw together. So
the other big question is, how big of a crowd's going to show up? I mean, that's a huge stadium. I don't know how many tickets have been sold to this thing.
Yeah, it is L.A., so, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're giving some tickets away, too. Not giving, but, you give big for car lots and stuff like that. People that sell a lot of cars or hot rod plays, they get big chunks of tickets out and that kind of thing where you can fill in the seats up above. But, yeah, this place is massive. I don't know, like you said, I don't know how many tickets they're actually going to sell, but it's going to be good for TV, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's just, I mean, I'm not even going to venture to guess what kind of a race we're going to see. I have no idea. But, if you compare this to when they raced on dirt at Bristol last year, I was thinking that was going to be a real mess at Bristol, and it turned out to be better than I thought, despite all the rain they had that weekend. But this one here, I'm just going to have an open mind, and, we'll watch what happens. And the new race cars are one of the biggest things that we're talking about. In addition to the new venue, the racetrack, is these new next-gen race cars and what that's going to be like. And we haven't seen as much change in these race cars as we've seen with this new car coming in. So that and how they're going to look at Daytona is the open question right now. And I have no idea what we're going to see over the next couple of weeks, both at the Coliseum and at Daytona. When we come back, we're going to hear a portion of the interview that I did filling in for Scott on the Mostly Motorsports show yesterday with Hall of Famer Joe Kosiski, longtime late model star turned promoter at I-80 Speedway. Big news, I-80 Speedway coming out this next week. We'll talk about it. Later on in the hour, Wayne Johnson is coming up, and we'll get to the Joe Kosiski interview when we come back here on Track Talk. Thanks for tuning in.
Track Talk.
As your power steering pump ages, seal leaks may occur, causing the power steering system to lose fluid. Your power steering system may also develop an annoying squeal, and the steering may become more difficult to handle. By using Lucas Power Steering Stop Leak, you will stop the seal leaks, reduce slack in rack and pinion, eliminate the squeals and hard spots in your power steering system. It is guaranteed to stop seal leaks or your money back. Lucas Power Steering Stop Leak. It works.
This is National Sports Handicapping Champion Lee Sterling of ParamountSports.com. You can catch me each week on Crunch Time and during the Zone on Fridays at 10:45 in the morning. Plus, every Sunday morning during Chiefs Tailgate to get you ready for the NFL action. I'll give you my thoughts and predictions and break down all the upcoming games in college football and the NFL. Also let you know about the weekly specials at ParamountSports.com.
As a Shane Company jewelry consultant, I get to work with couples looking for their dream engagement ring. Many feel overwhelmed. They just don't know where to start. And that's what I love about my job. I get to make this important experience fun and easy. We don't work on commission, so there's no pressure. When you visit, first, I'll want to know, what are your ideas for your dream ring? What fits your lifestyle, your personality, your budget? Then we'll go from there. We'll look at ring settings and I'll show you options for the center stone. For example, if you choose a classic solitaire ring setting, I can show you how it'll look with different center stones, like a pear-shaped diamond or an oval pink sapphire. We have all shapes, colors, and sizes. If you're going for a big look with lots of sparkle, I can show you our halo ring settings. Or, if you want a ring that's ready to go, we can look at our perfectly preset styles. Visit your friends. We're in this together.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
This is Chad with 810. Losing weight sucks. At least it did before I got help from Shaman's Leewood Total Wellness. I met with Dr. Kapoor, and he's got me on a program that's finally working. I'm not hungry, I'm not cranky, and I've lost over 20 pounds in just 6 weeks. Their team is easy to work with, and it's not just a pill, it's weight loss coaching, and it works. Check them out at shamantotalwellness.com or call 913-227-9150. Remember, life is better with the feather.
Worried about some serious weather coming this way? KC Weather can wreak havoc on your roof, and small problems can become big problems fast. The Shamrock Roofing team is here to help. Whether you are catching an issue before the storm or need help with damage after, our highly trained Shamrock team is here to help. Call Shamrock Roofing today at 913-850-6556 or shamrockroofer.com, and we will get a member of our team out to help you within 24 hours. Shamrock Roofing, where one call does it all.
Hi, I'm Fred Ramsey. And I'm Mark Tobin. Hey, folks, if you're not busy Saturday mornings from 6 to 7 a.m., well, I hope you'll join us for the Midwest Outdoors, brought to you by Reed Chevrolet St. Joe.
Join us and our expert guests, and we'll be talking about hunting and fishing, dog training. We'll give you tips, pass along stories, and most important, share some laughs along the way.
That's right. We cover it all, from crappie to waterfowl, and we'll tell you how to cook it, too.
The Midwest Outdoors, brought to you by Reed Chevrolet, Saturday morning, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., right here on Sports Radio 810.
Got about 2
WHB.
minutes, fellas. It's a long commercial break.
Jayhawk fans,
10-4.
season tickets for the 2022 Kansas football season are on sale for as low as $185. We need you in the booth waving the wheat this fall and supporting Coach Leipold and the Jayhawks. Get your tickets now at kuathletics.com/tickets or by calling 800-34-HAWKS.
To the end zone, he's in! Touchdown, Jayhawks!
Hey, it's Lebo here from my friends at Serta Pro Painters. It may be chilly outside, but it's still a great time to update your home's interior. Many of us have spent a little more time at home these days. You may be sick and tired of staring at the same walls. CertaPro painters can help you transform those walls with fresh new color. CertaPro has done an awesome job for me, both inside and outside of my home, and they can do the same for you. Worry-free from start to finish every time. You can schedule a free estimate at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. One of the things I love about them is each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated. They paint with the care and attention to detail that only a local neighborhood business can offer. Whether you need to get something done for your home or business, log on to CertaPro.com and get started today. You can get a free estimate and check out all the great services CertaPro offers. Imagine what a colorful new coat of paint can do. They're ready to help transform your space and bring your vision of color to life. That's CertaPro.com for CertaPro painters. Sunday at 2, Sports Radio 810 WHB presents live coverage from Las Vegas of the NFL Pro Bowl. It's your last chance to catch some of your favorite Chiefs players in action, as Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Tyrann Mathieu, and more will be taking part as the Pro Bowl comes to Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. Live coverage of the NFL Pro Bowl begins Sunday at 2 on your official home for the NFL and Super Bowl 56. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
If you need a prepared dinner for that special person, Hen House's Delicatessen offers the Valentine's Day dinner for 2. Free entree selections, boneless prime rib, turkey breast or salmon, including an appetizer and fresh salad to share with your sweetie, plus side dishes and desserts, only $49.99. Avoid the restaurant crowds and enjoy this dinner for 2 at home with your special person. These dinners are fully cooked for your convenience. Just reheat. Everything you need to make this Valentine's special can be found at your local Hen House Market.
Welcome back to Track Talk. I'm Kirk Elliott. We're brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. Joe Kosiski is a Hall of Famer. He's on several different Hall of Fames. We put him into the Central Auto Racing Boosters Hall of Fame here a few years ago. He's in the National Dirt Late Model Hall of Fame, the Nebraska Sports Hall of Fame, among others. One of the great late model drivers Midwest has ever produced. 1986 NASCAR Weekly Racing Series champion. And filled in for Scott yesterday on Mostly Motorsports and had this portion of the conversation with Joe Kosiski. Hey, Joe, how you doing today?
I'm doing just fine. How you doing, Kirk?
Not too bad. Big news at I-80 Speedway. We'll get into that here in a little bit, but I'm more interested in talking about the old days, your racing career, which I had the privilege of watching throughout. What was the highlight? Was winning that NASCAR Weekly Racing National Championship back in '86 the highlight, or were there other events that stick out more for you?
You know, I don't know if there was anything that was the total highlight of it. Winning that national championship was a great win, a great season. The Busch All-Stars were running around. I had 4 championships there, and I had numerous track championships, and all of it added together is what made what I called a great career. I wouldn't want to do my life any different way.
No, absolutely. Yeah, and it seems like you won one of the last races on the dirt mile down at Sedalia. Am I wrong about that? I remember you won a late model race on that mile, and I think it was the last time I ever saw a race on that mile track down there. Was that close to the end of that track when you won? It was getting awful close if it wasn't the end. You're exactly right. Yes, if it was not the last one, it was getting awful close, I would say. That was a big highlight to me because we didn't see many races on that night. It was in the daytime. It was dusty. It was hard to see. And I remember when you won that race that day, it seemed like a big deal when it happened. Yep, it was a big deal also. Like I say, there's a lot of them that you almost forget that were highlights, and when somebody brings them back to you, you go, oh, yeah, that was wonderful. That was wonderful. You know what I mean? I look at your family as one of the great business families that I've ever seen involved in racing, and you're just great business people, all of you. And then you got into promoting. What did you bring over from your experiences on the racetrack as a competitor that helped you be a good promoter?
Well, I think the thing that helped me be a good promoter was the things we've seen from all the tracks we visited. I raced for a lot of good promoters. So the understanding of what it took to be a good promoter was helped out a whole bunch because of the ones that were promoting at the time and the different things that you could see. And it's like anything you do, if you can pick up one or two good things everywhere you go. In our salvage business, we go do a lot of seminars and different things. And I always tell my people when we take them to one, if you can come back with two things, you come back with two more things that we didn't have before we started. And if every time you looked at a racetrack and you said, you know what, here's two good things, instead of always worrying about what the bad things are, you'll pick up a whole lot more when you leave there. You know what I mean? Because by the time you're done at 10 tracks, you've got 20 good things you could put to use at a different time.
Things are going to change pretty quick around I-80 Speedway. Just kind of talk to us a little bit about why 2022 is going to be the last season at I-80 Speedway.
Well, the 2022 is going to be the last season for me and Steve to promote I-80 Speedway. Is kind of what we're setting in our minds. It's time for both of us. We're both wanting to retire. I want to go out and be a race fan like the great race fans that come to our track. And our property sitting there on the interstate is just getting worth so much money that people can't afford to buy it to be a racetrack. And me and Steve are at the age that we don't want to keep doing it for another 10 years. We have a lot of friends and a lot of farmers we know and they work their farm, and they always say, well, I'm going to sell this one of these years so I can go out and do this, so I can go out and do that, and they never get to. And we kind of set that, I'm going to be 65 this year, not that I'm too old, but I want to take a bus and go, follow a bunch of the races and not have to be committed every weekend. And Steve's kind of the same way. He bought a Razor. He wants to go down to Phoenix and ride it a little bit. And everybody gets to that point in their life when something says to you, it's time, and it's knocking on our doors. And if it sells, I would love to sell to somebody as a racetrack. We've got a buyer that's real close on it right now, but that buyer doesn't want it to be a racetrack.
Yeah.
And the purchase has not been made yet, but at the same time, there may be a buyer that wants to be a racetrack, and they're out there, and if this guy doesn't come through with it, maybe the next one will, and maybe it'll go on. And I've offered, if anybody decided to do that, I would offer to try to help keep that Silver Dollar Nationals and keep everything going for them. So I don't want it to see it go away. I feel miserable because I know that it's such a great facility, but at the same time, I've had some health issues, and I have to get rid of some stress, my doctor has told me at the same time. So somewhere along the line, he said something has to go.
You decided to go all in and build up one of the great late model events that we've seen in the last decade. And what you've done with the Silver Dollar Nationals, I mean, you're putting all your chips on the table, but putting out the kind of money that it takes to host one of those events and build it up to the stature that you built up the Silver Dollar Nationals. Did you look at that as a big risk?
Did we look at it as a big risk?
Yeah.
The year we was kind of deciding to do it, Harriet Chancellor, which is down from your area, a lot of people knew Cowboy and Harriet,
right.
And Harriet wanted to have the 55 Nationals. And she kept saying, boy, I wished I had a place that would have the 55 Nationals. I really think it would work. And as I sat and talked to her, I says, Harriet, I would love to have the 55 Nationals. But I said, we have to make it on a big enough scene that everybody can come to it. And she was with me with it. And our first year we rented, it was basically rent under the MLRA book as the Silver Dollar Nationals. And when I talked with Lucas Oil and I talked with World Outlaws, they were all like, well, you need to run that 1 year and make sure we don't want to put our name on it yet. And the week after it was all done and it was all successful, I had both of them calling. We would sure like to be part of your race next year. And it was a tough thing to do. Me and my brother Ed had talked with Harriet, talked with each other about it, and said we're going to do it. At that point, a couple of our part owners were really ready to get out or really not wanting to be part of it. We didn't know if it was going to work. We were just guessing, that it would work. And in 2000, I think it was 2010, we just went through a pretty hard time of, I don't want to say a depression, but, it was a pretty bad time there in 2008 and on. And people were saying, you're nuts to be doing this right now. And we took a gamble on it. I mean, it probably wasn't no nuttier than owning a racetrack at that point. So it all started working then, and we added money to it every year. We built it up with Lucas Oil. Lucas Oil helped us out. We've got it now to $53,000 to win, $5,300 to start. Last year we put on a show the week before. It was the I-80 Belt Nationals. That one paid $30,000 to win on Thursday night. We had $630,000 purse we paid out over the 5 days there, or 4 days. And we ended up making not as much money as what I feel that we took the gamble with, but we ended up making out a positive side of it. And this year we dropped the $30,000 to win race. We went back to what we had done the year before. We are going back to running our Go 50, our Malvern Bank Go 50, which is on the Thursday night race. And then we're running what we used to run 2 years ago. We're running our Malvern Bank Super Late Models and our Hoker Trucking Super Late Models as a combination race with 360 sprinters and stock cars on the Wednesday night. And everybody that's watched that has loved that show. So anybody who wants to watch sprint cars and late models on the same night, they can have it. And that'll be one world of a show in order to get around the office. We call it the prelude to the Silver Dollar National. So it gets them 4 days. We do a lot of camping there. We actually sell out over 250 campsites for that 4 days when the people come up.
That is Joe Kosiski, promoter at I-80 Speedway. Steve and Joe are retiring at the end of the 2022 season, and I am looking forward to getting up there for the Silver Dollar Nationals. I am going this year. I haven't been able to get up there until this year, so I'm planning on being there this time around, and it looks like it might be the last Silver Dollar Nationals, one of the great late model promotions that we've seen in the last decade, and it's kind of sad to see that go away. But it's going to be bittersweet heading up there knowing that the future of I-80 Speedway is not long-term, not likely after this year unless somebody comes in to buy it as a racetrack, which doesn't seem likely at this point. So it is really bittersweet to see a family that's done a great job promoting a racetrack, and they're stepping aside. I don't blame him because I'm where Joe and Steve are right now, and I've talked about it on this show. I want to go be a race fan, and that's what they said they want to do. So I think we're all in this together anyway. So thanks for Joe for coming on, and we really appreciate that and look forward to seeing the season coming up this year. Scott spoke with Wayne Johnson, who he's very close to. Wayne Johnson participated on the Lucas Oil ASCS Dirt Series for a number of years and then went totally 410 racing. And he is a former World of Outlaws rookie, and he's looking at changing up his schedule coming up this year. We'll have that conversation with Wayne Johnson and Scott Traylor when we come back here on Track Talk.
It's playoff time, and if we aren't at the stadium, the next best seat is in your home. Your big TV, great food, and a toasty, warm house. Make sure that your house is the ultimate playoff watch spot with a free furnace from Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric. That's right. This month, you can get a free furnace when you upgrade your heating and cooling system. Go to AnthonyPHCE.com and schedule your appointment today and let them know you want the playoff free furnace.
Pick up a 2-pack of dinners for you and your spouse. Get a 4-pack or more if you got a full house. We'll pack it up fresh and send it on your way. Come to your local Good Sense. Get some today. Salmon, pot roast, cookies if you please. We'll pack it up fast so dinner is a breeze. Come on down to Good Sense and visit our store. Or give us a call and we'll come knocking on your door. Good Sense makes good sense.
This tax filing season could be one for the record books. There are thousands of dollars worth of new tax credits on the table, and Jackson Hewitt will help make sure you get every one you deserve. Tax credits for being a parent, taking care of a parent, taking classes, and so much more. Don't leave thousands on the table. Jackson Hewitt will make sure you get credit for all you do and get your biggest refund guaranteed. Learn more and find your nearest location at jacksonhewitt.com.
Building a pool is not a job for amateurs. If you want a pool you'll enjoy for a lifetime, call the pros at ProBuilt Pool and Patio. ProBuilt Pool and Patio is the largest provider of fiberglass pools in the region. Unlike liners, fiberglass pools from Imagine Pools and Pentair Pool Equipment are built to last, and they have over 200 different design options to fit your space. ProBuilt Pool and Patio offers competitive pricing, financing, and the fastest install timelines. Get a free quote by calling 816-786-3893 or go to ProBuiltPatio.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
I'm attorney Mike DePasquale. I played linebacker. I won a state championship. I played Division I ball. I know a thing or two about winning. The winning attitude starts with confidence. My law firm is so confident in what we do that if we take your injury case and we don't win, you don't pay us a dime. So if you've been hurt, call me. My team wants to win for you. I've got this.
Mike's got this. All you need to know. 816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who miss the fairway all day and still pull out the big stick, the type of guys who will always prefer to be behind the grill than in front of the camera, and the men who never let their friends forget about a high school nickname. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Nothing makes cheering on your favorite team better than wings. Pair your at-home game day with Twin Peaks Wings. Find your favorite store at twinpeaksrestaurant.com/locations.
As your power steering pump ages, seal leaks may occur, causing the power steering system to lose fluid. Your power steering system may also develop an annoying squeal, and the steering may become more difficult to handle. By using Lucas Power Steering Stop Leak, you will stop the seal leaks, reduce slack in rack and pinion, eliminate the squeals and hard spots in your power steering system. It is guaranteed to stop seal leaks or your money back. Lucas Power Steering Stop Leak. It works.
Track Talk on a Saturday morning. I'm Kirk Elliott. Scott Traylor feeling a little bit under the weather. He'll be back in the saddle on Monday with another edition of Mostly Motorsports. You can watch it live at noon on the Racing Boys Facebook page, YouTube, Twitter. It's all up there, and then we'll post them. The podcasts are on a link. If you go to racingboys.com, there's a Mostly Motorsports Scott Traylor link at the top of the page, and you can catch all of the episodes of the Mostly Motorsports. I think we got 20 of them in so far. Started the week of the Chili Bowl, and all those interviews are up there. And by the way, we're just playing the portions of these interviews. These interviews are like a half hour. I spoke with Joe for more than a half hour yesterday, and this one coming up with Wayne Johnson is over a half hour too.
Yeah, these are extensive interviews. These are just little clips that Kirk's we're dabbling in on. These are great interviews that these guys are doing. We don't have to bail that at a commercial break, you know.
Right.
These are nice interviews. So
if you want to listen to the full interviews, just click the Mostly Motorsports with Scott Traylor link at the top of raceboys.com, and you see all the episodes there. You can listen to the entire show. Wayne Johnson was a guest with Scott on Mostly Motorsports this week. Wayne Johnson and Scott go way back, and Wayne was a regular competitor on the Lucas Oil ASCS Sprint Car Series for a number of years and went full 410 racing. He's a two-time Knoxville 360 Nationals winner and former World of Outlaw Rookie of the Year. He won that a year ago. So spent the last couple of years chasing the World of Outlaws up and down the road. And here is Scott's portion of his interview that he had this week with Wayne Johnson.
Wayne Johnson. How you doing, Wayne?
I'm doing great. Scott, how about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good, bud. How's things been treating you? Where you at right now?
Oh, I'm home, enjoying this beautiful Oklahoma weather.
Yeah, did you get a lot of snow down there?
Yeah, it's still snowing. I don't know. We probably got 6, 8, 10 inches. I don't know.
Yeah.
The wind's blowing so bad it's got some pretty big drifts, but it's still snowing.
Yeah. How come you didn't make it down to Florida, Wayne?
I'm going. Not leaving till was planning on leaving Sunday morning to head to Volusia.
Yeah.
We were just going to miss Georgia. We were going to go to Georgia for the All-Star races, but they've already rained out practice night tonight. Tomorrow looks bad also, and then Saturday I believe the high is going to be in the 40s, so I figured I'd skip that weekend.
Yeah. Well, listen, Wayne, I've been really enjoying watching you run with the World of Outlaws, man. You've been having a good time over there, I know.
Well, it ain't been that much fun. I can tell you right now, when you're used to winning a few races every year and just getting your ass whooped every night, it's not really much fun. But I feel like we've learned a lot. I feel like our race team's pretty fast. It's just that deal out there is really tough, and it takes a lot more, how can I say it, personnel than basically what we had on our team.
Right. Wayne, how much difference is there? I know, you traveled with us with the Lucas Oil ASCS National Sprint Car Tour for so many years, and I know there's a big difference in the way that you drive a 360 versus a 410. Kind of break that down. What is the difference as a driver in the style of driving a 360 versus a 410?
I really don't think the style's a lot of different, to be honest. The cars drive a little bit different just because, the horsepower and the weight ratio to, with the aluminum engine and the acceleration and stuff. But you don't really drive them any different. The biggest change for me, and it's no disrespect to anyone that races ASCS or local level or whatever, but, I always call it the speed of the game. And, at an outlaw show, it's like playing Major League Baseball, and anything else is like minor league, honestly. And it's just the speed of the game where, you go to a local show or whatever, and you got 3 guys or 4 guys that basically got to beat every night. Mm-hmm. But when you go to the outlaw deal, there's 10 guys that can win anywhere. So it's just tougher. It's basically what it boils down to.
I've always been told that guys that run 410s, you can get yourself out of trouble a little bit more with that extra horsepower that you run with a 410. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, I think so. Just to get yourself in predicament sometimes, and the power will get you out of it. But, too, that, at a 410 race, and you've been to plenty, Scott, you go to an outlaw show, you might see one caution the whole night long. Mm-hmm. Where you go to a local show or whatever and you see more cautions, and it's just because the caliber of the drivers are better. And I don't think that the 410 definitely will get yourself out of trouble at times, but for the most part, there's not a lot of trouble normally. If you the races normally run pretty smooth and not a lot of crashes.
Right. I tell everybody this all the time. All forms of motorsports is about momentum, right? It's keeping the momentum up, and it doesn't matter if you're in a 360, a 410, a 305. It doesn't really matter, does it? It's all about keeping that momentum up.
Yeah, for sure, and I think that's in any form of racing, to be honest with you. Not only the speed in the car when you're driving it, want to keep, it's a momentum sport. Any kind of racing's momentum. If you can just keep your momentum up and not, drag the car down, that's definitely a way to do it. But also, on the other side of it is when you get to winning a lot, you might not have the best car every night, but if you won 3 nights in a row, that 4th night you got a horrible car, the momentum, and as far as, confidence, that's the same way. Momentum more than one direction, I guess what I'm trying to say.
When you have to compete against those teams, you mentioned that all the elite teams that run there, what kind of budget does it take to run a full World of Outlaws program? I'm not asking what your budget is, but I'm just saying, if you're going to do it the right way, what kind of budget does it take to run with the World of Outlaws?
Honestly, since I've been on that side of the fence with the books and doing this, and to do it is, I don't know their budgets, but I'm going to say Casey and Tony Stewart's teams and maybe a couple other teams. I know not all of them have these kind of budgets, but I'm going to say that they probably spend close to $1 million. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes it pretty tough for teams like yourself and the 2C team, right?
Yeah, for sure. And that's where it comes, that's where it boils down to when you try to hire an elite crew chief, say somebody that works for Tony or this, that, and the other, they're making big money, and then they're getting 401k and health insurance and this and that and the other. And we just can't, with our small team and our small budget, we can't offer all those things,
Right.
So it just makes it tough. And that's why we decided this year to back up and just have fun and go racing when we want to and where we want to.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. We spoke the other day, and you were telling me that you're not going to run full-time with the World of Outlaws. You're going to run some all-star events. You're going to run, I would assume that you're going to run some with the World of Outlaws. Are you planning on running some of the Kenny Brown's 410 series as well?
We really don't have a schedule put together yet.
Yep.
And it's going to be, honestly, almost like a weekend decision every week. And what makes the most sense. And if it looks like the weather's bad here, we're going to go somewhere else. But we're going to run with the Outlaws all the way to Page, Texas, and then they go back to, out west, go to California, and then we'll catch back up with those guys, I believe, Dallas and Lawton. So We'll do those races. And I think, we're going to try to run Knoxville quite a bit. The car owner, he's got a suite there and he enjoys that place. So we're going to try to do that some. And then Ohio Speed Week and of course, 360 Nationals. And we'll do some of the bigger ASCS events that are on the schedule. I think I just seen where, oh, no, that was a different race. I apologize. I was thinking Jackson, Minnesota, but I think it was a Jackson, Mississippi or something that I seen come up. But, there's really no set schedule and set in stone. We're just going to go when and where we want to.
That's Scott Traylor with Wayne Johnson the other day on Mostly Motorsports. You can hear the entire interview. Just click the Mostly Motorsports link at the top of the RacingBoys.com homepage and check out that episode. All the episodes are up there right now. And we're going to play portions of some other interviews exclusively on Racing Boys Hour 2 coming up. We're just on for this hour here on Sports Radio 810, but we've got a second hour exclusively on Racing Boys and all the social pages. Coming up hour 2, we're going to play portions of interviews from a number of people, including Todd Quiring, the owner of Jackson Motorplex and Huset's Speedway, and also a portion of interview with Kevin Greben, who is the general manager over at Lake Ozark Speedway. Chet Christner, the new voice of the USAC. He's going to be calling all the races on Flow for the USAC races coming up this year. So we'll play portions of those interviews coming up in hour 2. We got Lee Spencer coming up live from California. She is out there covering the Busch Light Clash that is going to be tomorrow night out at the L.A. Coliseum, so we'll get her take on everything that's going on out there, the lay of the land, of what's happening. Hopefully she's been at the venue and seen the facility. I'm not sure exactly what her travel schedule was and how soon she's got out there, but she'll be checking in here in just a little bit here on Racing Boys, so we'll look forward to that. Want to remind you that we are going to be covering a lot of races from Florida here over the next few weeks. Scotty Cook is going to be down there and reporting back for us on Mostly Motorsports and Track Talk, as he's going to be checking out all sorts of races down at Volusia and East Bay, and he's going to be up for the Winter Games at Bubba Raceway Park as well. So we'll look forward to Scotty's reports, and he'll be posting some interviews on our Facebook page as well from Florida here over the next few weeks. And so we're going to be getting into it hot and heavy with racing just about every night from here on out. And we're supposed to have racing last night, as we told you earlier in the hour. The All-Stars were supposed to be this weekend down at Sonoya, Georgia, the whole weekend's been called off. As you heard Wayne talking about in that interview, the forecast in the 40s and not very good weather, they just pulled the plug on that whole weekend of racing down in Georgia this weekend. So the All-Stars will now be at Volusia Raceway Park Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, and then we'll see the World of Outlaws in action for the first time next weekend as sprint cars will be taken to the track. It's been pretty much all dirt late models here over the last couple of weeks down in Florida, and we've enjoyed watching the late models, but we'll look forward to seeing the sprint cars on the racetrack as well. And also at Volusia Raceway Park, this is not this next week, but the following week, they're going to have the World of Outlaw late models and the Super Dirt Car Series Big Block Modifieds. And Austin, what do you think about Big Block Modifieds? You watch them? They're kind of fun to watch.
I watch them once a year.
I can't hear you. Oh. There you go.
It might help turn the mic up.
There you go.
No, I watch them once a year, and that used to be when they went and ran Syracuse.
Yeah.
And
the big mile at Syracuse.
And then once Syracuse got shut down and bulldozed, then I don't watch them a whole lot, but they're an interesting car, definitely something that kind of intrigues me.
The big cubic inch, big block, they sound a little bit different, don't they?
They do, and it's, your general modified, it's left-hand drive, and these are like sprint cars, so you sit, in the center, and they're kind of like a sprint car with the body on it. That's what the part that kind of, keeps me interested in it, but no, it's pretty cool seeing them cars race on the big miles. I like the mile fairground tracks, and I wish Syracuse was still open.
Yeah, they seem to work really well on those big mile racetracks where they can get the humming wide open. But the mile racetracks are few and far between now. Syracuse is gone, so we'll just look for them on the half-mile racetrack. I enjoyed watching them down at the World Finals down at Charlotte here a few weeks back. They raced down there with the late models and the sprint cars down there, so it's kind of fun to watch those guys. So I enjoy it.
Yeah, they always put on a good show. The best show probably of the year for a fan standpoint is the World Finals, like you said. I mean, you get to watch the Outlaws, with the sprint cars and the late models and your big blocks, and they definitely got the track program fixed for this year. Last year they brought in a new dirt down there at the World Finals, and it was just a dust bowl, and they brought some better equipment in this year to fix it, and put out some pretty good racing.
But you and I are really looking forward to the sprint cars coming in next week, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of breaking my mold with this mostly motorsport show, with some fender stuff. So I'm trying to learn as much as I can. But I'm a diehard sprint car guy.
So the World of Outlaws, Brad Sweet is the two-time defending champion. Does he do it three? Well, no, has he won back-to-back or three times now?
19 and 20 and 21.
Okay. So does he do it again?
I would say yes, but I want to see somebody else win it. We'll know after Speed
Will
weeks.
Donnie Schatz ever win another World of Outlaw title?
If he continues the same speed he had after the Knoxville Nationals, good possibility.
Yeah. He's won 10 of them so far. He's got a ways to catch Steve Kinzer, who will never be caught.
No.
Steve Kinzer at 20 championships. That's like Richard Petty winning 200 NASCAR races. That's a record that will never be broken.
He's in his league of his own.
Yeah, and why not? I mean, greatest sprint car driver who ever lived. Steve Kinzer still is a presence in the World of Outlaws, is he not?
Yes, he is.
Everything is measured against him, that is for sure. So we'll look forward to that. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We appreciate you joining us here this morning. We're going to be playing some more segments of interviews coming up. Lee Spencer, Hour 2, exclusively on RacingBoys.com. Appreciate Blake Schneiders back at Sports Radio 810. Todd Surprise and Austin O'Neill.
30.
Scott Traylor will be back with us here coming up next Saturday morning, as we got a lot of things to talk about. February is a big month for racing, and we'll give you our take on what happens at the LA Coliseum. We'll look forward to that as well. Thanks for Lucas Oil Products for sponsoring the show, and join us again next week here on Track Talk on Sports Radio 810.
Want to work in a
Thanks, my man.
great culture and possibilities?
Good job,
for
boys.
upward
Good
mobility?
show.
Appreciate it.
Roofing
Have a good
is
weekend.
hiring for multiple positions.
Y'all enjoy. Have a good
Project
weekend.
Thanks, brother.
Start out making $50,000 to $75,000 per year.
Taking care
Full
of your
benefit.
car is a responsibility. It ensures the long life of your car and its expensive components. That's why Lucas Oil takes automotive protection so seriously. Lucas heavy-duty oil stabilizer bonds with motor oil to shield engines from heat and wear. So take pride in caring for your car and pass that pride and knowledge to the next generation for years of smooth, reliable driving on the long road ahead. Trust Lucas Oil. It works.
One of the main reasons for poor vehicle performance is a dirty fuel system. It can cause decreased fuel economy and actually do harm to your engine over time. By adding Lucas Fuel Treatment to your vehicle, it cleans and lubricates the entire fuel system. Pump, carburetors, fuel injectors, and valves as you drive. It also improves your vehicle's performance. It's a non-solvent product designed to protect both gasoline and diesel engines. Lucas Fuel Treatment. It works.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Spirit Specialty Sportswear in-house. We do all of the screen printing, all the embroidery. We do some vinyl. The other add specialty items like your pens, magnets, notepads, calendars. You can actually buy that to build your business to make it larger. We have the largest screen printing process and the largest embroidery anywhere around in the area. We can do stuff all the way from your school clubs to sports teams, a professional look in the office. If you can imagine it, we can do it for you.
There is less than 1/100th of an inch of motor oil protecting your car's engine. Friction and heat causes engine oil to experience thermal breakdown, weakening its ability to protect the engine and its parts. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer is specially formulated to resist thermal breakdown, protect vital engine parts, and extend the life of your engine. It also stops smoking, knocking, and oil consumption in worn engines. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer. Keep that engine alive.
Alumatech Products is the premier aluminum cabinet company as well as custom aluminum trailer manufacturer. They specialize in custom cabinetry and production units. All the cabinets are built in-house by exceptional craftsmen. Alumatech Products also offer truck caps that are built from the ground up, starting with a framework all the way to a complete build. The folks at Alumatech are driven to produce quality, long-lasting products through innovative design to best suit you. For more information, go to alumatechproducts.com.
Missouri's must play getaway. Osage National Golf Resort.
3 9-hole courses to choose from at the Lake of the Ozarks in the Osage River Valley. Stay and play packages in our first-class condos. A beautiful clubhouse complete with pro shop and exercise facilities. A large pool for relaxation and families. The Eagle View Sports Bar and Grill. Great wedding facilities. Go online and make your tee time today.
Race fans, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is open 7 days a week, year-round, for you to come in and check out all of the wonderful race cars on display in the museum, and our online store at sprintcarstuff.com is open 24 hours a day for you to check out everything that we have in stock for sprint car fans. Whether it's for a birthday, anniversary, or Christmas, SprintCarStuff.com has it all. That's at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville.
Cigarport.ca is your go-to online store for exclusive cigars produced from the best quality tobacco in the world.
At Lucas Oil, we take pride in creating problem-solving products to make your car care easier. We protect your vehicle and make it run longer so you can focus on the things that matter most. Whether it's commuting to work, visiting a loved one, taking the kids where they need to go, going to the big game, or anywhere life takes you, Lucas Oil is committed to getting you there for all of life's important moments. Lucas Oil, it works.
Hey, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and you're listening to Racing Boys, and if you ain't listening to them, you get out of the country because you're a communist. I love the Racing Boys. Like Mater says, they make me happier than a tornado in a trailer park. You know the funny thing about that is, the Larry voice and the Mater voice are exactly the same. Get her done!
Welcome to Hour 2 of Track Talk on the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. Made in America, sold to the world. Here again are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
And just one half of the Racing Boys this morning. Scott Traylor is down sick today, as he was yesterday. Hopefully he gets to feeling better. Thank God his lady, Deidre, who was a big part of Racing Boys, is home from the hospital. She spent a couple of nights in there. Glad she's feeling better. Now we got to get Scott feeling better today. Man. And we'll have it made. But, boy, these two have been through it here the last month, have they not?
Actually, you go back to the start of the virus.
Wow.
Think about the very beginning. Those two were getting tested out there in California in that hospital when everything was going crazy, the very first week of all this. And they've been dealing with it since then. So, yeah, good luck to everything on there. And hopefully Deidre will get healed up and everything, and she knows if she needs anything that she's got a lot of people down here that can go get something for the guys upstairs. So
yeah, before the Chili Bowl back in late December, Scott was down.
I know
with the COVID.
It's just been.
I don't think it's. I could be something else now, but man, there's a lot. There's a lot of viruses and stuff going around.
Sure
People
is.
are catching stuff.
Make sure you guys are washing your hands out there.
I've got my fingers crossed that I haven't caught something yet. Todd, I was surprised to get back from the Chili Bowl and didn't have something.
I was amazed you and Austin both rolled back without catching something. You know how it is. I've been going down there for 9 years. I didn't go down the last 2. This has been my last for the last.
Yeah.
I didn't go down, but for the previous 8 years, I was down there, and you'd almost catch something almost every time you were down there.
Well, you were bringing hand sanitizers in there before it even before the pandemic.
That's right. Before it became good.
We did have an epidemic down there one time, the Great Flu epidemic 3 years ago, and I was a victim of that. It took me 2 months to get over that. Fortunately, I didn't come down with it until after I got home. The worst thing is be out of town and get sick and then have to come home. Scott, that's what happened to Scott. He was down at the shootout.
Yeah.
Came down, had to drive home.
That's the worst when you're sick down out of town. Trying to drive home sick. But.
So, Austin and I were keeping our fingers crossed whole Chili Bowl week that we got out of there alive. So
I came over here yesterday, to get some of the files off the computer, and I sanitized everything. I wiped everything down because I'm superstitious. I think it just needs to be done every once in a while. So
what I found out and I've learned this too, that don't touch your face.
That's right.
With your hands.
Don't
try to rub your nose,
eyes, mouth. Just keep them away.
That's how I've always gotten sick. I've had this bad habit of touching something and rubbing my face. Yeah. That's how I come down.
Kirk's
with
a face rubber.
Yeah.
So if you haven't,
I tried to resist that. It's so far it's working.
It has been.
So
I agree, and I think that's a big key to getting this thing done. So hopefully Scott and Deidre are getting, and everybody out there in the race world. I hope everybody's healthy again. And
there's a lot of viruses running around.
Good to see John Lee home doing
Yes.
very good, John.
John, we're thinking about you. Just
glad you made it through that
man.
awfulness, and I know you got some good kids there, daughter and son-in-law that are keeping an eye on you. But just know that it's a long process. Some people don't know this long hauler. Some people get this long hauler thing, and it's a long process to get back. My wife's colleague, she's a long hauler, and it takes a while to get back to full strength. So don't rush it. Just get this thing better and get everybody better. But
this thing affects people in different ways, doesn't
it? Sure does, man. I was going to bring up something real quick. We didn't talk about it. I wasn't here last week for the Mostly Motorsports, but I was texting Austin back and forth between that Rolex 24-hour race. Let me tell you something. Can Helio Castroneves just drive? He's almost reminds me of the Kyle Larson type of dude that put me in something and I'll find a way type of guy. I don't know. I've been following Helio for a long, long time. Before I started working with Racing Boys, I was a season ticket holder at Kansas Speedway, and the only reason why I bought season tickets was to watch the Indy race. And, I sold the truck race tickets and the nationwide tickets just so I could have the NASCAR and the IndyCar tickets. But that race was compelling. I watched it on USA for probably 5 hours, maybe until 3 a.m., 2 a.m.
I did too.
Went to bed, woke up, 6 a.m. and started watching it again. It was the way they did the race was really neat. And I think something else that kind of intrigued me a little bit, the weather played such a factor into it. Everybody was so cold and talked about how cold it was.
Cars were slipping and sliding.
And these drivers, when they would get out, they ran right to the heater. You could tell how cold that it actually was down there in Florida. The iguanas fall out of the trees down there, Kirk. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
So lizards, when it gets to a certain temperature, they don't die, but they stop moving. And
it
they
was
just
in the 30s down
that's
there.
Right. These iguanas were just falling out of the trees all over down there.
But it was a compelling finish. One of those
really
classes, we had some beating and banging going on there to decide one of those 5 classes. But the overall winner was the Meyer Shank Racing, led by Helio Castroneves and Simon Pagenaud had a couple of Indy 500 winners in there. Tom Blomqvist,
that's right,
and Oliver Jarvis. But Blomqvist was driving late in the race, and I heard him on the radio said, "Can you go the whole way there, Tom?" And he said, "No."
Nope.
And then after he got out of the car, he said, "I had to go to the bathroom."
That was the first. That's what was pretty good. Completely honest, I had to use the facilities, my friend. So,
but I think Elio was going to finish that.
Yeah,
up
they
anyway.
talked about how they really wanted him. And what's really cool, Elio and Pagenaud both. I don't know if you guys follow them, but you could go to their Facebook pages. Both of them run their own Facebook page, so they just post pictures that they take, just like following those guys both through that Rolex series. That was a pretty compelling and very tight. Normally, it's not that close. You don't normally get that close of a race that far into the race in today. And like I said, I'm not telling anybody that watches this anything they don't know, but that's it was this year seemed more compelling than years past. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
It really did.
What are your thoughts about the Rolex 24 there, Austin? You're a big fan.
It was pretty good. I was kind of surprised to see Wayne Taylor get beat. He's had dominance there for so many years.
They were going for what? Their fourth in a row?
I believe that's what you and I figured out was four in a row.
And Elio drove for them last year.
Yeah, he finished. Yeah, he drove for them last year. Then I think he drove for them a couple of years before that. Yeah.
So Ricky Taylor was behind the wheel of that car there at the end.
Yep.
Yeah, the Acuras really did pretty well. 1, 2. There was 4 cars on the lead lap at the end of 24 hours, was there not?
Yeah. Well, you look at it, Jimmy Johnson crashed, I believe, like at 1 o'clock, their time, and spent about 45 minutes in the garage getting repairs, and he came back out 28 laps down.
Yeah.
And you go from a chance at winning the race with that car to 28 laps down and, outside the top 5. So it's crazy how fast this stuff can change down there.
So how much of the race did you watch?
I watched highlights.
Yeah.
I wasn't like Todd and staying up super late. I crashed out early. But no, I watched the highlights and I was really impressed with the race.
I watched bits and parts, parts and pieces of it. After 10 o'clock on Saturday night. I watched till about 2 in the morning and then got up Sunday morning and watched some more.
Poor Austin was getting texts from me in the middle of, he was probably getting woke up in the middle of the night because I was texting him, hey, did you see I knew I didn't know if he'd be asleep or not, but I was hoping he had his thing on at least vibrate or on quiet, because I was like, I texted him quite a bit. But we met quite a few of those drivers, Kirk, me and you. We did some interviews with, was it Wayne Taylor Racing?
Yep.
Out at Kansas Speedway, and they did the ride along with the All-Star soccer teams that were in town that year, and some really nice guys. All those guys in that series, and those guys, they seem like they were really nice guys, and I don't know, I became a fan of those guys from that day on too. So
then they got the 12 Hours of Sebring coming up here in a few weeks, right?
I believe so.
What's that?
I'll kind of go back to what Todd was saying there about the drivers being really cool and all that. So I was at Knoxville this year when the SRX was there.
Yeah.
And so the night before, they were doing testing with it, and Helio was walking down through the pits and went out and did a run. We did a run, and we went up there and watched. And it was pretty cool seeing him get out of the car and just see what his reaction was to the dirt. And he was a pretty cool and genuine guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I enjoy the heck out of Elio. The other great driver that we loved back then was Dan Weldon. Unfortunately, we lost him out at Las Vegas about 10 years ago. Can you believe that's been 10 years since we lost Dan Weldon?
I think it's been 11 years.
Is it 11?
2011.
Yeah. Wow. So, anyway, he was the other popular driver we enjoyed covering out there at Kansas Speedway.
Yeah, I think that was the first year I worked with you, is when the year he passed. That was when I first started working with you. So that's almost been 11 years. Yeah, 10 years is when it doesn't seem like it was that long ago. I was going through some old stuff when you used to be when you'd be a season ticket holder in the beginning. You got some extra kind of stuff. They'd send you some stuff, but I got some. I don't know, they're like playing cards like you'd get in the old Donner's baseball cards. I got some IndyCar playing cards that I found in a thing on a sheet, and it's just pretty cool to see who was all racing back there with Tony Kanaan. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty impressive. There's some of the
Scott
names.
Dixon, he won a couple of times out there.
Pretty impressive lineup that you had out there, and
some of those races were down to the wire. I remember Buddy Rice winning a race. It was like inches.
Just some of the closest races ever for a long time. And if you remember the race at Texas Motor Speedway, they had to stop it during, was it time trials or during right before the race started, because they were having drivers blacking out the G-force they were pulling, and they had to cancel the race because the G's that they were pulling, it wasn't the problem during practice. It wasn't until they started pulling draft on guys, and they realized they were losing some communication with some of the drivers for maybe a eighth of a second, 10 seconds, maybe 10 seconds at the most, or 2 or 3 seconds at the most, and they realized he's blacking out for an eighth of a second or a tenth of a second because the G-force was so strong. These guys are going to need pilot suits in order to race these cars eventually.
I'm glad to see him going back to Iowa Speedway this year. That I think Hy-Vee is becoming a big sponsor to that event up there, and we thought Iowa Speedway was shut down for good, but they're going to have the Indy cars there this year, so looking forward to that. Happy to see that. I hate to see Iowa Speedway not operating. They have some NASCAR races going up there because I think it was a great racetrack. So we're going to get Lee Spencer on the phone here in just a minute. The L.A. Coliseum is the scene for the first weekend of the season, not Daytona. It's the L.A. Coliseum with the Busch Light Clash taking center stage tomorrow night on Fox. We have heat races, last chance qualifiers preceding that event. Today, cars will be on the track at 11:30 Central Time. FS2 is going to be carrying live coverage of that. Then tonight, they're going to be qualifying those cars, single car qualifying to determine the lineups for all of the heat races that'll be staged prior to the 150-lap event tomorrow night out at the L.A. Coliseum. Lee Spencer is out in California right now. Lee, have you had a chance to get to the Coliseum and check things out yet?
We have not. We're going momentarily. We're leaving here at 8 o'clock, so we're on a tight schedule, but things are starting really early. They're going all day long, and from the photos I've seen and the buzz that I've heard, I'm thrilled to get out there and see what all the buzz is about.
It's really hard to predict what we're going to see, isn't it? We haven't really seen cars on the racetrack yet.
No, but I mean, they think it's going to be a fairly tight racetrack, just because of the dimensions. And I've watched a lot of the analysts during the week and just what they're anticipating, how they expect to pass, and there's going to be a lot of chrome horn usage this weekend, I think, because I think that's the best way to pass. It's just you can't. You're going to have to wait until late in the game, because if you do it, I'm sure there'll be retribution.
All right, the way this thing is formatted, there's 36 teams out there. They're gonna start 24 cars in Sunday night's main event. They've got 4 heat races. They're going to have single car qualifying tomorrow. These heat races are 25 laps apiece. Top 4 advance out of the heats. And then if you don't make that, they've got last chance qualifiers, and those are 50-lap races, and the top 3 out of those advance. And then those are 23 cars that'll qualify, and then the next highest in points that didn't make it in through the qualifying makes up the whole field. Is that a good format for this? Do you think the number of laps and the way they got this thing laid out is going to work?
I think it'll be really interesting, to say the least, because these guys, first of all, once you qualify, the top qualifiers will line up. The fastest guy will be in Heat 1, the second fast Heat 2, and so on and so forth. But I really think we have a situation with 36 cars that 13 go home, and it could be somebody who, is a player, one of the A-list drivers, simply because, anything can happen throughout these heats. And then, you get into the last chance qualifiers, and those are going to be dicey. And so somebody's going to get their feelings hurt and probably won't be happy sitting on the truck watching the feature.
Yeah, I mean, who's that going to be? The biggest wild card, in addition to the new racetrack, is these new next-gen race cars. How can anybody have an idea how that's all going to play out with these brand-new race cars that are completely different than anything we've seen before?
Well, we haven't seen a lot of testing on short tracks. I mean, they went to Phoenix, but, Phoenix is, 3 times this size? And
right.
So, it's going to really be hard to anticipate what it's going to look like, simply because we really haven't seen how this car reacts. I mean, they did a test at Martinsville, but that's twice the size of this track. So it's going to be interesting. I kind of look at it as a case study for the rest of the season on short tracks, but I'm not sure how good of an indicator, because they're going to be running what I'm hearing is 13-second laps, and so that's it's going to be interesting. It's going to be kind of like watching slow motion, but there'll be a lot of action.
And then the pit stops are going to be completely different than anything we've seen before. They've got the one lug nut on these wheels. The way pit stops are going to go is going to be something to watch.
But that doesn't come into play until Daytona, Kirk, because of the lack of space here. They have elected not to have pit stops for this event. So they'll have auxiliary crew. We had, when I was co-hosting Sirius on Thursday, we had a pit crew coach come on, and, he was trying to explain some of the nuances, but after, talking to him and hearing his side of the story, talking to Joey Logano and then seeing what the Gibbs cars are doing, I think that you're going to have a varying degree of choreography once we get to Daytona, and none of the pit stops will look exactly the same. But over, the course of time, I think you're going to have, if I'm a race team, I'm going to have my pit crew coach or one of his, assistants, just like you'd have an offensive or a defensive coordinator, spying on the competition, and just taking notes and reviewing tape and seeing what other guys did, and then incorporating the best practices into my pit stop. I think really that's going to be the best way to handle it for the season is just you'll see something, you'll improve, and each week they're going to get faster. The biggest component right now is just the fact that with one lug nut, you're going to be changing tires faster than you can get in a full tank of gas. So a lot of attention will be paid to the gas man simply because he's hoisting the fuel can over his head and trying to get every last drop, but it's just not going to be practical because once all the tires are changed, the driver's instinct is to go. And so the drivers are going to have to be uber aware on pit road and take direction from whether it's the spotter, the crew chief, whoever. I would think that it's the crew chief since he's on the box telling him, okay, time to hit the gas, because your seconds will be gained or lost on pit road. I expect a lot of guys to come in and fuel off for the pit stops, and just to make sure that time isn't spent on pit road and rather under yellow.
Do you think that will lead to eventually change the way they fuel these race cars so they can dump fuel in these cars quicker to match the how quick it will be to change tires?
I don't know how much heavier you can go with the fuel cans, right? I mean, those things are they're giant, and you think about sitting there and carrying them with 11 gallons, in the fuel can, and right. Then now you've got a 22-gallon tank, and so trying to get 2 full cans. I also did pit reporters last week with Brett McMillan, who's a pit reporter, for PRN, and he was saying he doesn't really expect the guys to give him straight answers when it comes to, hey, did you get a full tank? Hey, what's your, what do you think your fuel run is going to be? Because that's going to be proprietary information that these guys hold close to the vest, because if they didn't get it all in, then the guy's going to have to be measuring how much gas, how close they are to making the distance. There's going to be a lot of fuel mileage gains going on throughout the course of 2022.
I think what's going to eventually happen is they're going to get rid of the fuel cans and go to a direct fueling mechanism like you see in Indy cars and so forth. I think that's where it's headed.
It could also get dangerous, but just carrying that level. But I mean I'm sure if NASCAR thought that they could lose more people on pit road, and the teams thought that they didn't have to pay another guy, that would indeed happen.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out. So how do they park all the haulers just outside the Coliseum and then bring the cars in? What's in the infield there?
That you're absolutely correct. The haulers are all on the outside. TV compounds on the outside. Yeah. I really don't have a good feel for things until I get in there. Yeah. But there's been lots of pictures on pit road. But most of the pits, you'll have the pit boxes in there. But most of that, what you have set up, the majority of the equipment is outside. Because the venue's just so small.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not, we're in the press. We're limited to the press box. The photographers are limited to the locker room. I mean, they're trying to make, best use out of the space that we have.
There's not really a garage area per se, right? I mean, or is there?
It's outside. It's outside the track.
But are you able as a media member to walk amongst the haulers and the cars in that area? But you say you're only limited to the press box?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And from what I've been told from NASCAR is that when we have the press conferences, the post-race press conferences, they'll be in the locker rooms as well. And so, it's going to be interesting to see how it all works out.
What is the Coliseum? Does USC still play football there? I mean, do they have to take this track out when it's over? What else do they use that Coliseum for now?
Well, they've, over the course of the years, in addition to the Trojans playing there, they've had, concerts and the Olympics, and John F. Kennedy spoke there. They've had motocross. I mean, just a whole variety of things over the course of the year. And Auto Week did a really nice story about the past history history of the track and how they put down wooden boards and midgets race there. I want to say back in the 60s. And so had a friend last night whose father was a midget racer, and she sent, she was just giddy because she thought she recognized her father in one of the photos. And so this is not, according to Auto Week, the very first race that we have had at the Coliseum, but it will definitely be memorable. I will.
Yeah.
I can. There haven't been a lot of people have kind of assumed what might happen, but I can predict that it will be memorable because I don't think we're going to forget this for a while. But the big talk that has come out of this is if we can put a race in the middle of Coliseum, where else can NASCAR go? Because they're not afraid to spend money to transform a place like the Coliseum into a racetrack. And so that opens the doors for NASCAR to venture out, well beyond the current walls and, have safer barrier will travel kind of mentality.
I guess my question is, do they have to rip this track out when this event is over?
Absolutely, because,
okay.
It's small of a space as it is. There's no way you could, that you could still set up a football field and have things go according to plan with, a facility that's or a venue. I don't know. That's not the right word either. I would say a track that's wide enough for NASCAR cars to compete in. I mean, it might have been easier just to do this at Irwindale because Irwindale is in town and it's in LA, but I don't think it would have gotten anywhere close to the fanfare of holding it at a place like the LA Coliseum.
How big of a crowd do you think is going to show up here? How big of a crowd are we going to see tomorrow night?
Well, I ran into race fans on the hotel bus on the way over. They came from Florida. I mean, I think that the kind of buzz and people just going through racing withdrawal from last year, Southern California. I mean, think about it. We haven't raced here in 2 years almost. And so I think the opportunity to bring racing into a cosmopolitan area like L.A., and once the buzz starts, right, I mean, they were doing they were doing reports from the track last night on all the local networks. And so even though, the Super Bowl is really getting the majority of the buzz around town, I think once people see that we're here and, hear about what's going on, that they'll show up. I mean, some people that couldn't get tickets for tomorrow or thought tomorrow's tickets might be too expensive, could come today and see what it's all about. And then if they like it, buy tickets for tomorrow. So I'm anticipating a solid crowd.
Wow. Have they mentioned what the pre-sale has been, or is any talk how many tickets they've already sold to this event?
Well, the sales have been steady. They did say that 70% of the people who have bought tickets are new fans, have not attended, races before, and I guess they feel that's, they take a survey of that when people purchase tickets and, do the demographics of the crowd. But, I think that they kind of, have an idea of what's going on and what to expect as far as the crowd goes, but they have not, given us an idea other than I think the first 6 rows have been or not usable because of the safer barrier and, the catch fence. And so, it's really hard to, you kind of have to take all those rows out and then do the estimates as to what the eventual crowd or what the eventual capacity will be.
TV rating should be through the roof, should it not?
Well, it's almost like an all-day deal. I mean, like I said earlier, we're leaving at 8 because things start at 9:30, and we've got to kind of get our bearings there. But I would agree with that. Is that ratings should be good. I mean, they are going up against the Olympics to some degree, but other than that, this is a home game for Fox, and they're pulling out all the stops. And they have local talent. They've got, celebrities coming in. They've got Pitbull is playing. Ice Cube is playing. They've got, DJs coming in to do stuff. I mean, they're really turning it into an event. So I think it kind of goes beyond just what your race fans might be into. If you're a pit bull fan, you might want to show up. I mean, sometimes people just come out for the celebrity value, and I expect that to be pretty high.
Well, I can't remember an event I've been excited for more than this, only because I don't have any idea what's going to happen here. I mean, we got these new cars, we got this new facility. This is something that we've never seen before. I'm not going in with any preconceived notions about this, Lee. I'm just going to sit back and see what happens.
Well, I mean, I think that's all you can do. But, I mean, I think it will look, there have been a lot of comparisons to Bowman Gray Stadium, right, just because of the size and what have you. But I think the guys that came up on short track racing will shine. But I would say keep an eye on William Byron simply because hearing from his fellow competitors, they said he killed it on iRacing. And really, iRacing is the only example of this track that you've had to look at as far as, any kind of pre-testing. And so, they pointed to him. I mean, Corey LaJoie, I wrote a story about him earlier this week. He's, brimming with confidence because it's like a lot of places he's raced in the past. And so, you kind of think of the short track guys. I mean, if a guy like Larson wins, how big might that be? I mean, I know he's a NorCal guy. Kevin Harvick is from Bakersfield, which is about 90 minutes from here, maybe 2 hours, depending on, what the traffic's like at the time. So we don't have the, Californian contingent we once did. Most of the guys are from Northern California these days, but I think if a California guy wins it, it could be a boom. You get a Chase Elliott who has some crossover appeal. That might be good. Or, somebody, a Bubba Wallace or a Kurt Busch. Somebody, Kurt Busch announced that he's going to be part of the Michael Jordan brand. And so, you have crossover there. And so there's, all kinds of exciting things to look forward to and, things that fans can take from this experience.
Well, I applaud NASCAR for jumping into this. I've been a big critic of some of the things they've done. Too much change is always not a good thing, but when it comes to changing up the schedule and changing things around and doing things a lot different in terms of venues and events like this, I'm all for it. Go for it. See what happens.
Well, we're looking forward to it, and we're going to head to breakfast and catch a cab, and I'll put updates up on Twitter, and you guys can follow and see all the fun and games that go on today.
I'm going to let you go. Thanks a lot, Lee. We'll be looking
all right, buddy, you take care. Have a great weekend.
We'll look forward to your coverage on the Scoop page.
Oh, it's coming, brother.
All right. Thanks a lot, Lee.
Thanks, Lee.
There she is, Lee Spencer. And she's not been to the track yet.
No,
so it's hard for her to make any kind of a comment.
It was our fault. We should have got with her about 5 minutes earlier. We could have got a little bit more out over there, but she's on her way. They're it's up and going. Let me tell you something. That's California time. It's early out there to be up and going. That's
she's already up and at 'em.
Way up and at 'em. She's ready to roll. They're going for breakfast, getting the cab, heading over and going. And
that's the way to do it. Jump in a cab or Uber or
that's
something.
Right, Uber. It's not
you want to try to park around there.
No, you don't. I don't care where you.
I've been to the L.A. Coliseum.
Is that right?
I've not
Really?
attended any events there, but drove around it.
How cool is that?
A long time ago. That's not in the greatest part of town either.
That's what I heard.
It's not. I think University of Southern California is
USC,
right there.
Yeah,
by
USC.
there.
And it's by the.
And I was going to ask her, does USC still play football in the Coliseum?
That's apparently.
I don't know. They must.
They must because that's why she was saying.
So that's how you have to rip that racetrack out when it's over.
Which is a shame, kind of.
They spent $1 million building that.
I mean, I know they've got money to burn.
Asphalt's not cheap,
but. Yeah, so they spent. Austin said they spent the same amount on Bristol too, doing it. So, but to me, it just seems like a sad waste that it has to go away so fast. There'd just be some opportunities for some other things out there, but that's just me thinking. I would be same way at Kansas Speedway. I don't know how many. I know they do race some series out there, Kirk, on that road course. A few with like the Corvette or the Lamborghini Club will come in and rent that.
You and I've driven on that road course, haven't we?
Me and you've driven on that course more than like 90% of the race car drivers in the United States on that. I mean, we took a bunch. We did 8 or 10 laps on that thing. So.
Iowa Speedway. We talked about that earlier. This is my idea. I think that ought to be NASCAR's dirt track. Instead of going into Bristol and building up dirt every year, why don't they just go to Iowa Speedway, make that into their be a beautiful 3/4 mile dirt track, and have their dirt events at Iowa Speedway. That's my suggestion.
I agree.
The quality of the dirt would be good, and they could just use that as their dirt venue.
They could get in there a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month early to get that thing ready to roll, to prep that track the way they like it, perfect, and get plenty of practice time on it. I agree.
They're not going to listen to me, but
No.
that's my idea.
Well, they eventually listened to us and moved the Kansas Speedway race back to where, at least closer to where we'd like to see it this year coming up. You know, me and you've been saying, I don't know why you race.
That's the greatest part of the schedule change that NASCAR made this year are the dates for the Kansas Speedway weekends. We're talking mid-May and mid-September.
Yeah, so much better. I mean, I know Pat said he'd rather have a June race.
Well, May is always tough for promoters because you got graduations and all those kinds of things going on in mid-May. But that September date is spectacular.
That October, you know as well as I do, you're just pushing Mother Nature, and it was cold.
I think this revitalizes Kansas Speedway.
It will. I think
because people are going to buy tickets in advance a lot better for that September date than they ever did in late October. And I think that rejuvenizes the whole racetrack, moving that date to mid-September.
Yeah, that'll be a big race, too.
September 11th weekend.
That's right. And it'll be they're going to have a lot of nostalgia stuff going, not nostalgia, but celebration stuff and tributes. And that whole week of racing will be, like you said, September is so much more predictable here in Kansas City that
it's a lot warmer. I mean, and if you're buying tickets in advance, you're going to look forward to that date a whole lot more than buying advance tickets for date in late October.
And if you're coming from out of town, especially, let's say you were an out-of-town driver or family that we used to get a lot of people from Nebraska, Iowa, Oklahoma that would come to these races, but when it's cold like this, or the July race like we had that one year where it was 150 degrees out there and you're dying of heat. And
it's interesting. They're going to have a NASCAR race at the Gateway. I call it Gateway Worldwide Technology Raceway over in St. Louis. I never thought I'd see a Cup date at that event,
right
at
off
that
the
track.
Right off the highway, just right there.
I hope they get their parking sorted out over there.
That there is, I don't know. Boy,
they need to
sticky situation.
Make sure they get the traffic flow in and out of there. Working a lot
traffic's
better. The NHRA has an event over there every year.
Yeah, I don't know. That St. Louis parking makes the parking that we have here in Kansas City just look.
So that'll be interesting. In early June, I think that event is going to happen. So let's play some of these other interviews, portions of the interviews from Mostly Motorsports this week. We got Todd Quiring, or what do we got lined up there, Todd?
Got Todd Quiring and Kevin Greenland. And
let's go with Todd Quiring, who is the owner of Jackson Motorplex and Huset's Speedway up in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Beautiful facilities. Todd Quiring is the owner and also owns a race team that David Gravel drives on the World of Outlaws circuit. And here is part of that conversation that Scott had with Todd Quiring earlier on Mostly Motorsports.
Todd Quiring joins us now. He is the owner of Jackson Motorplex and Huset Speedway. Todd, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, Scott?
I'm doing good, man. I was just talking a little bit earlier in the show that you have maybe two of the nicest racetracks in the country, man. As an owner, you've got to be proud of your facilities that you have up there.
Yeah, it's kind of a fun project for us. We have a lot of good people behind them and that manage them, and we're really excited about the shows we're developing, and I think we learn something every year of what works, what doesn't, and it's all going well.
Yeah, hey, Todd, a lot of promoters out there. It seems like to me, and I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus here, but I'm just saying a lot of promoters out there don't believe in capital improvements of their facility. You're the opposite of that. Tell us your philosophy on keeping these facilities and bringing Huset's back to life. Just your philosophy on capital improvements on your facilities.
Yeah, I mean, I think, we might be in a little different position. We're looking at this long term, and I guess we're fortunate enough where, many promoters / owners maybe don't have the opportunity or the financial to upgrade their facilities. But, this day and age, in order to keep up with, pro sports teams and different venues, I just feel that you have to build big events. It's more of an investment long term, Scott, I would say,
Right.
and kind of a build it and they will come type deal. And obviously building the large events behind it.
Yeah. It seems like everybody's happy with you shortening up Jackson Motorplex. No complaints there, I would think, right?
No, if anything, we probably could have made it a little bit shorter. But anyway, it races well. We're looking forward to putting a little bit of a new surface on it this last fall. So kind of looking forward to seeing how that settled in through the winter and seeing how that races this coming summer.
How much shorter did you actually make Jackson?
Well, Jackson was a big kind of an oval half mile, narrow back in the day, and for many years, kind of an old school type racetrack, and so I would say it was a big half mile, probably just a little bit bigger than a half mile, fairly narrow on the corners, and we widened everything out, and we made it a 410, so we shortened it up a fair amount.
Yeah. I think a lot of people look at you as the savior to Huset's. How many years was it sitting there vacant?
I think it was like 4, maybe 4.5.
Four and a half years. And I know that you always had interest in buying that facility, but it took some time for you and the owners to get together on the price, I'm sure. Just talk about bringing Huset's back to life, and was that very difficult? Did they maintain it pretty good during the time it was closed down?
They actually did. That's what, Chuck Brennan did have full-time staff out there through the summer months and, kept it mowed. And there was obviously a fair amount of small things as you're working with concessions and things like that. But, for the most part, it was pretty good. We've invested a fair amount of, money in the facility since we purchased it. We put decks on the suites. We opened up the windows, so there isn't obstructions. We put a mezzanine in the backstretch so you could watch, when you're pitted outside. Just some things like that. And we're continuing to do some things every year. We have some things planned after the race season this year also in 22. So continue to make capital improvements every year.
Yeah, I know Chuck did a lot of things to it. I know that you've spent some money on it as well. What are some of the things in the future that you would like to do to Huset's?
Well, probably one of the bigger things we're going to do starting this spring is we purchased the land to the north of the racetrack, and I'm actually going to put my corporate office, build a corporate office there, and we're going to move our race facility, our whole operation, to the Brandon Sioux Falls market. We'll be doing that in 23. So that's one thing. We're looking at putting a little museum inside of there and cool. That type of thing. And then secondly, we're looking at adding some decks, some outdoor decks up above, just to the north of this current suites, more of an outside type, premier type seating. Those are a couple things we have on our radar right now.
How close, Todd, were we to losing Huset's? I mean, were we close to somebody coming in there and buying the property and just bulldozing it down and making it into something else? How close were we to that?
Honestly, I don't think that was going to happen because if you've ever been to Huset's, it's in a floodplain, and for like a housing development was never going to happen. I don't know. I think Chuck Brennan was financially sound enough where he could have just bulldozed it himself and walked away. But obviously he's a businessman too. A half a loaf might be better than nothing. So I think, in all fairness to Chuck, I think he, like him or not, I think he kept the facility up, maintained it well enough for the next person to take it over. It's just, I think he had a lot of people that wanted to buy it, a lot of pipe dreams. No one ever showed him the money. No one ever said, I'll pay you, in 30 days, I'll give you earnest money and do a real estate deal with him. And, when it came right down to it, and Chuck and I started talking. We got on it quick and closed in 30 days. And I don't think anyone, maybe our offer wasn't even close to what he was asking, and it wasn't. But, you know, we got it done, and we're pretty happy with it. And I think it's going to be a great long-term asset for our whole portfolio.
There he is, Todd Quiring, the owner of Jackson Motorplex and Houston Speedway. I've been to Jackson Motorplex, but not since they did the complete track reconfiguration and the change to, I think they put up some new grandstands. So I'm anxious to get back up there. I'm going to make a trip up to Jackson and Houston's here maybe this summer and check these places out, because they are two great facilities. And they've got some big events coming up there this year in 2022. Another promoter, general manager at Lake Ozark Speedway. And I love Lake Ozark Speedway. That is another great facility. And Kenny Brown has and the Power Eye team have taken over that racetrack here in the past year, and Kevin Grieman is the general manager. We've known Kevin for a long time, back in the days when he was working for O'Reilly Auto Parts, and he also ran the I-44 Speedway for a period of time, and now he is the operator at Lake Ozark Speedway. Scott Traylor spoke with Kevin Grieman a little bit earlier in the week.
It's Kevin Grieman. Kevin, how you doing, bud?
Hey, man, trying to stay warm and dry. How are you?
How much snow did you get down there?
I'm going to say 8 or 9 inches, right in there somewhere. Started off with sleet and then went to snow, but I'm going to say we probably landed on 8 or 9.
Wow. So what does that do when you have to take care of your facility during the winter months, obviously? What is that? What's the challenges when you get that much snow down there?
Well, I mean, hopefully you've already taken care of anything that you're worried about there back in September, probably October, early November, something like that, as far as winterizing everything in the facility. It puts a stop on, any type of outside work you want to get done, getting ready for, in this case, the 22 season. But we had guys out there painting and doing some other things earlier this week when the weather was so beautiful, but it kind of puts a stop to that. But beyond that, it's not, it just doesn't let you progress. It doesn't hurt you. It doesn't really back you up any.
I'm really looking forward to this season going down to Lake Ozark Speedway. As you know, I'm not going to be traveling with the national tour anymore. And I've not been to the Jason Johnson Classic, not one time. And it's because I've always been on the road traveling with the national tour. I am so looking forward to that race down there. You've got the World of Outlaws, the Power Eye 410 Outlaw Sprint League, and then you've got the Power Eye War Sprints as well. And then you're going to run the Extreme Series down there too, right, that weekend?
Yes, sir. It's going to be a busy weekend. We're excited about it. That's, Jason Johnson, Jason being a local, from just a few minutes away, and then Bobby and the family, that event doesn't happen without them. They're incredible in the interaction they have with the event, and I've got a great relationship with the World of Outlaws from years ago.
Right.
But everything that Bobby and that whole team bring to it as well, it's going to be and then you add the other series that you stuck in there too. I think as long as Mother Nature cooperates with us, I think it's going to be awesome.
We had Kenny on here a couple weeks ago, and he was really excited about the reaction that people are giving the new Power Eye 410 Outlaw Wing sprint cars that you guys are going to be running. That thing's starting to get a little traction, isn't it?
Man, it is. I mean, we've got, and I don't want to tell you wrong, Scott, my internet is down right with this snow going on, ice sky going on. My internet's down. I don't have the schedule in front of me, but I think we got 32 races on that schedule.
Wow.
Chance to run. We're going to run Texas Motor Speedway this year, which is pretty cool in May on their All-Star weekend at the dirt track there. But a lot of great tracks within the Midwest, and it came about from the racers. I mean, it was the racers calling us saying, "Man, is this a possibility? What can we do?" And this was towards the end of the season last year. So to see it coming from that to a pretty strong schedule, really more than we anticipated, more than we planned on having as far as events the first year. We figured to be in the low 20s, and it just kept coming together.
I know that you oversee what's going on at the racetrack, but how involved are you going to be with the series and everything that goes on with Kenny?
Well, I mean, Kenny and I have a long relationship. you'll remember this. So when Kenny first started out, that was the Gateway Series,
right?
And that was strictly a micro series. And I don't want to tell you wrong. I think it was like 04, and this is back in my O'Reilly days. I can still remember Kenny walking in my office and pitching the deal to me and what he planned on starting. And at that time, I mean, he's blown this thing beyond his wildest dreams. He and his family have worked their butt off to take it to 30-some series out there that's got the POWRi name on it. So he knows my background. He knows. I mean, I don't want to say this wrong. I don't want to come across wrong, but I'm like you. I'm getting old. I've been doing this for a long time.
Right.
A lot of connections out there. Made a lot of great friendships. A lot of guys that I'm very blessed to know in the racing world. And there's a lot of things. I mean, every day Kenny and I are just bouncing things off each other back and forth, trying to see what makes sense for POWRi, what makes sense for the tracks, what makes sense for the drivers, for the racers, and what makes sense for sponsors, and trying to make the most of it out of it that we can.
In today's world, you got to be pretty creative, don't you?
Every day, and I feel stupid because I missed a big part of that, or a big leg of that, and you also got to make it make sense for the fans. But you're right, you got to think out of the box every day. I've been, and this, I've been fortunate enough to work with a lot of different facilities, with a lot of different series, from the Bruton Smiths of the world to, I mean, you name it. Another great, a bunch of them out there, and I've got to learn a lot of great stuff. And then at a time or two, I got to learn things that you never, ever want to do.
Right.
So yeah, you always got to think out of the box. You always got to try your best to look at all 5 of those legs when you're doing it, which is not easy to do, and then put together the best plan that you can.
Right. On, I think it's April 23rd, you've got the Lake Ozark Speedway Championship Series opening night. I've noticed that you guys are going to run the POWRi Race Saver Sprints. Those are winged 305 cars, and you're going to run the USRA B Mods, POWRi Super Stocks, Lake Ozark Speedway Pure Stocks, and the Midwest Modifieds. What I do notice is no 360 sprints. You're not going to run 360s weekly down there this year, right?
We're not. I mean, we tried to run them as close to biweekly as we could last year, and it was a combination of several things. Terry and those guys, Emmett, now Terry and those guys, and ASCS are doing a great job of trying to build what they got going on. Weather killed us last year, Scott. It's like if you're a farmer, you loved me last year, because if I scheduled a 360 race, I can almost guarantee you it was going to rain on that weekend. I think we actually got 3 360 races in last year. So looking at the cost of running that class,
right,
and then a lot of it too was all these phone calls from these guys wanting to run 410 stuff. So you're right. You don't see 360s on our schedule weekly. We still have them there quite a few times with the ASCS and different things going on. That the different events that track has kind of has had as a staple over the last 5 years. But you see more 410 stuff there than it's ever had before. So. Still great sprint car racing. We're just trying to make it fit for what we think is out there, what we think we can, as far as drivers that can support the track, and not put, other facilities in a bad spot, not put other series in a bad spot, and not put the drivers in a bad spot, and still, put on a good show for the fans.
That's Kevin Greven of Lake Ozark Speedway. April 2nd is their season opener. They got the POWRi 410 Outlaw Sprints, that new series going on that night. And then the following week, April 9th, the Jason Johnson Classic with the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink sprint cars leading the way. So they're opening up with a bang in 2022. Chet Christner is the new voice of USAC. And he will be calling the races on Flow Racing this year. I think there's like 90-some plus events. The USAC non-wing sprints, midgets, and Silver Crown cars. And I always like Chet when he said, "Drop the hammer," at the race start. Scott Traylor on Mostly Motorsports spoke with Chet Christner earlier in the week, and here's part of that conversation. Hey, Chet, how you doing, bud?
Oh, very well, very well. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, man, big news. Welcome back to USAC. How about that?
Yeah, I'm stoked about it. Obviously, I announced there 2017, 2018, and really, really enjoyed my time there. And then just things change or whatever. But now the opportunity to be back with them again for, I think, 99 events throughout the 2022 season. So I'm excited.
Chet, I don't think people realize what it takes, what kind of commitment it takes as a person to go out and do 99 USAC national events throughout 2022. When I was traveling with the ASCS National Sprint Car Tour, we do about 50, right? And that's about all I could handle. But you, my friend, you are the ultimate road dog, and what you do is keeping up with the guys and running 99 races. That's a little bit more difficult than what people think it is.
Yeah, and that's something too where I don't know if it came out clearly or not. I'd mentioned this in another interview that I did, but I still work for Flow. So I'm announcing all the USAC races, but I still work for Flow, so I have obligations there as well. And I think I just went through and counted up because I had a hunch you'd mention something about this or ask about it. I think I'm going to be at 127 events this year.
My gosh.
So, yeah, I like to be busy. I like to be on the road, and I definitely got that going on here this year.
I think the one thing that I'm going to miss out on the road, Chet, and you tell me if you felt this way or not, because you've still been doing the broadcast for Flow, and you've still been staying pretty busy. But for me personally, I'm going to miss the people that I traveled with up and down the road all those years. 13 years on the national tour. I'm going to miss all my friends that I've accumulated traveling up and down the road. How about yourself?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, and I've said that before, one of the greatest things about racing or motorsports in general is just that you're surrounded with people that enjoy the same thing that you enjoy. And whenever you travel with, like USAC in particular, have a really close-knit group of officials that travel and do all those events.
Right.
And they're good people. It's fun. It's enjoyable. And I think of that all the time. I'm very fortunate to have found a place in life that I really enjoy what I'm doing. And I'm always concerned somebody's going to find out that I'm having a good time and say, hey, we need to find something else for you to do because work's not supposed to be like that.
Let's talk about what you say that you're headed down to Florida right now, right? You're getting ready to head down there?
Yeah, I fly out on Thursday, late on Thursday, get there late Thursday night, and then Friday morning I'll head out to Sonoy, which I'm pretty excited about that. I was down there with late models, doing some content on late models last year. It's the first time I've ever been to the facility. Bubba Pollard owns that racetrack, and such a great facility. But this will be the first time that the 410s have been there.
Yep. No, I've been down there. I miss going to Florida. I haven't went down there in a couple of years. I went there for about, I don't know, probably 15, 18 years straight. And it kind of bugs me that I'm not going to be down there. Now that I'm off the road, I'm going to visit and do some things that I haven't done in a long time. The problem is when you travel up and down the road, let's face it, it's a gypsy lifestyle, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that's one of the things. Sometimes I'll get myself in a bit of a pickle where I don't have internet service. And then you're sitting at a library somewhere trying to get internet so you can get your work done. But, yeah, it's definitely – it makes you also – I noticed this, that the longer I spend on the road, the more I have my belongings pared down to just the bare essentials. You have a tendency not to carry a lot of extra crap with you whenever you're traveling around like that.
It's so funny, Chet, that Scotty Cook traveled with me for 11 years of the 13 years I was out on the national tour. And every time we would get ready to go out of town, he'd get spun out about packing his bag. I could pack my bag in 20 minutes. I could be ready to go in 20 minutes. I don't need, it doesn't spin me out, but for some reason, and Scotty, he gets spun out pretty easy, really, but he just had a hardest time getting his bag ready to go out of town, and he'd been doing it for 11 years. I don't get it.
I'm pretty good to go. As long as I have a pair of underwear for every day of the week, I know I can do laundry at least once, so I'm happy with that. I can make the rest of it work.
Yeah. Well, Chet, man, we really appreciate you taking the time to join us, man. We love your work, what you do out there on the road, man. You service a lot of people, and a lot of people are familiar with your voice, and Drop the Hammer is one of your favorite ones, man, and we all love that, right?
Yeah.
Right? So just have a good, safe year this year. Travel up and down the road safely, though, okay? That's the most important thing.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'll sure try. That's what I'm flying to Florida, so it's in somebody else's hands. So we'll hope for the best there. But yep, I appreciate it, and thanks so much for having me on.
Hey, and hopefully we can catch up with you this summer and talk a little bit about what's going on out there with USAC. Can we do that?
Absolutely. I would love to do that.
All right, buddy. We appreciate you. Thanks so much, and we appreciate your loyalty to motorsports.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Scott. I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you later on.
That is Chet Christner, who had to make some travel change plans after this interview was on Monday, and he was talking about going to Senoia, Georgia. Not so fast. They didn't have racing this weekend at Senoia, Georgia, with the All-Stars. But he's going to be down in Florida doing all that work anyway. He's got the weirdest sayings. If we put together a video of a compilation of all the Chet Christner sayings.
He's got some good
when
ones.
he calls a race, but he is entertaining to listen to. There's no doubt about it. So anyway, we appreciate him joining us, and I'm not sure who all the guests are this next week, Monday, on Mostly Motorsports. Have we got anything figured out for early in the week yet, Austin?
Not yet, but I think we'll have Devin Moran on one night next week. Same with Ayrton Jennington and maybe Chad Morgan.
And also Ray Cunningham is coming on next Wednesday, Open Wheel Guru. So you've already got him lined up for this next week too. So yeah, racing at Volusia on Monday night. Actually, they're racing all the way through the weekend. The races at Alltech Raceway are still on for tonight, as far as we know. Supposed to start about 4:30 this afternoon. Final night for the Lucas Oil late models at Alltech Raceway. Then they all move down to East Bay Raceway, and they will be racing on Sunday night at East Bay. And I think they got about 6 straight nights at East Bay with the late models, Lucas Oil late models.
I believe so.
And then Monday, the modified, UNP modifieds only at Volusia. And then Tuesday and Wednesday will be the All-Stars. Thursday, Friday, Saturday will be the World of Outlaws, and the modifieds will be running all week long down there for the Gator Championship. So we got all of that going on. New Smyrna Speedway on the pavement. If you like those races, they'll be going on. And I think Flo is carrying a lot of that down there. And also Dirt Vision is where you want to go to see all the races at Volusia. And Mav TV Plus is where to watch all the Lucas Oil late model series action, including tonight down at the Alltech Raceway and next week down at East Bay. So they've got them all covered in all these video platforms.
You can find a lot of NASCAR grassroots racing, so like the K&N Series, I believe ARCA, a lot of the local tracks will be carried and covered by Flow Racing this year. I think that's a couple-year contract.
Yep, they've signed a deal with NASCAR this year, carrying a lot of extra things there. So all this stuff is going to be on live video, which is kind of cool. That hasn't always been the case for those of us snowbound up here in the north. We haven't been able to watch every night on live video, but these days you can. So you got plenty of content for you to watch if you're a big race fan over the next couple of weeks, no doubt about it. And who's going to win this race tomorrow night out at the Coliseum? Got any ideas on who? Either one of you got any ideas who's going to win that out there? I have no idea.
Well, we'll take a wild guess here. All right, so let's see who could be a good one.
Kyle Larson.
I think anybody could win out there.
I think
just
so,
survive
too.
the mess. I'm gonna go out on a limb here. We'll say, is Ryan Priest racing? Is Ryan Priest gonna?
Does he have a ride? I don't know.
If he does, that's my pick.
Yeah.
Someone out of the ordinary.
So it's going to be somebody that nobody's thinking of right now. Is that what you're thinking?
Well,
too, Tom?
he's a Wheeling modified guy that runs in the Northeast, so he's a lot of short track experience. That's my reason.
That could come into play. You're going to have that. If you got that kind of experience running on a quarter-mile paved track, then you're going to have the upper hand, maybe.
That's what I was going to say. Somebody's going to have this short track type of that. There's no notes to go on, so you're going to have to kind of go on what you've known all your life as far as racers. So, yeah, this is a crapshoot. It could be anybody, but I don't think you'll see Busch. He just gets himself in too many problems on all the time. I think he's going to push.
So it's not Kyle Busch.
Kyle's not going to be there, but I don't know. It probably will be somebody we don't think about, but I don't know. Kevin Harvick, for some reason, I don't know why.
That'd be a hometown win. He's from Bakersfield,
he's
California,
from California,
right up the road.
so that's why and I could see Larson.
I think it all depends on how good you qualify and where you start
and staying out of trouble.
How you come through the heat races and where you line up in the main.
It'll be built for TV. That's what we're going to say, and I'm going to watch it and maybe tape it and go back so you can watch it again because I think it'll be pretty fun.
I can't wait to see what goes on out there. It could be a big disappointment.
Very well could be.
I have no idea.
And that's the cool part about this. There's no predetermined thoughts on going into this other than this could be crazy. I mean, this could be all out fun to watch. So
do you think tippers will get frayed out there, Austin? You think we might have a couple of guys go at it out there? Is it going to be like that?
I wouldn't count it out.
It just depends
on. Look
what
at Martinsville last year.
Yeah,
that's a half mile. So.
Yeah, non-points. I mean, there's nothing on the line. Just go for it. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to save any. It's not like when it was at Daytona. You had. I don't know how many cars they've got built. Yeah, does this affect the inventory they've got at Daytona?
You just can't go out there and wipe somebody out and wipe your stuff out and go into a hole into Daytona. But, I mean, if you can take somebody out and throw a couple of fenders on it, all for it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to expect.
Yeah, this makes it so much different when you're racing on a different track that you're going to be, then you're.
It's going to be crazy. New car, new track, new venue.
The new car. I was like Lee was saying, the only thing it won't be that's the same will be the lug nuts on this car. Yeah. That's going to be your only change come Daytona time.
When they get to Daytona, we have no idea what's going to happen there with this new car.
That's right. So this is all new. So this will be pretty good first half of the season to be able to
sit here and try to make predictions on who's going to win anything. It's just fruitless exercise.
No, it's hard to do anyway, and with this many variables thrown into it this year, man, I mean,
I have no idea.
No idea. So I could see why Lee's a little excited about getting out there to watch something she's never seen before. This is cool.
Ready. She was ready to go and get out there.
She was up and ready. Yoga had probably already been done. So,
all right. Well, that wraps up today's edition of Track Talk. We hope Scott gets to feeling better, and he'll be back with you on Monday with Mostly Motorsports. They stream it live around noontime, right at noon, and you can hear all the podcasts on the click the link up on the top of the racingboys.com page, and it's spread out to all of the podcasting services too, by the way. Mostly Motorsports, and it is every Monday through Friday, hosted by Scott Traylor, and he'll be back at it on Monday. For Todd Surprise and Austin O'Neill, we appreciate you tuning in. My name is Kirk Elliott. Thanks for joining us. We'll do it again next Saturday here on Racing Boys.
Cigarport.ca is your go-to online store for exclusive cigars produced from the best quality tobacco in the world.
At Lucas Oil, we take pride in creating problem-solving products to make your car care easier. We protect your vehicle and make it run longer so you can focus on the things that matter most. Whether it's commuting to work, visiting a loved one, taking the kids where they need to go, going to the big game, or anywhere life takes you, Lucas Oil is committed to getting you there for all of life's